What's up, everyone, and welcome here to a very special wake-up call with Dan Tortora, on-site, on location at Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street in Syracuse, New York, the Creek Walk Commons, and just reopened here recently within the last few months. Happy to have Cafe Kubal back here at Creek Walk. Of course, you can get them at 3501 James Street as well as 401 South Salina Street, where we were last week, and those both in Syracuse, inside of Galasanos Children's Hospital, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at their Sweetheart Corner location in North Syracuse with their drive-through, as well as on 343 Fayette Street, Manlius. We are here today for a LeMoyne College takeover at Cafe Kubal. And for the first portion of today's show, we will have Liz Beville here with us, relaxing on the couch. I like this. I feel like this should be the studio. Just kind of sit out here.
It is nice and relaxing.
So Liz is here with us, and she'll carry us through to around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then we'll be joined by Bob Beretta, the athletics director at LeMoyne College as well. So Liz, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Happy to have you here on the show. I know we've done some things with Giving Day, and we've had some opportunities to work together, but this is our first sit down on the couch discussion.
Yep. Yeah.
So the weather, we were talking about this before we got started here. It's nice. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to stay pretty nice, and then it's gonna plummet. Yeah, it's 70, 60, right. 40, maybe 30, back up to 70 at some point. It seems like God's given us like 70 weekends.
I agree with that.
So, I mean, and for most people, you know, we get some time off on the weekends, so we can appreciate that.
Right. Yep. And we're out of town a couple days this week, so hopefully the weather's a little bit nicer where we're going.
Yeah, and you have Southern Connecticut State and Southern New Hampshire coming up here to round out the rest of your regular season. Just what you can say about, you know, those last couple games and finishing things up after Senior Day.
Yeah, we've got two conference games left, important games for us. We are tied, I believe, for third place right now in the conference, so we need to continue our momentum. We've had some great wins the last few weeks, and we've got to keep that going this week, so we look forward to some tougher games Wednesday and then again on Saturday as well.
Well, and the Senior Day, congratulations on the victory. 17-7, I believe, on Senior Day. So bring me into that game, and just, I mean, I know you want to win every single game, but there's something about, you know, like when teams have homecoming weeks and Senior Days, that it's really wind out of the sails if you don't get the W. So bring me into making sure that you took care of those seniors.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think to start, Bentley won the NE10 last year, so we had a little bit of extra motivation just with that opponent. And then we really have been trying to piece together. We've had some injuries, so trying to piece together a lineup that works for us and that we can be successful with. So we started to really hit our stride with that. We're still, you know, testing out different people in different spots, but it was a great win. As you mentioned, Senior Day to celebrate. We have 10 players that are technically graduating. A couple will be returning, but to have that be, you know, it's potentially a last home game on that field too. So we wanted to make sure that we walked away with a win and got it done for those girls.
You know, and you talk about technically graduating but coming back, you know, just the weird world of being a coach during the COVID extra, if you want to use it, type of situation.
Yeah, so we have, out of the 10 that are graduating, I believe we have 4 that are going to be coming back and using their 5th year of eligibility, pursuing some master's degrees. So, you know, that's not a small feat either, to be going to grad school while still playing lacrosse, but they're doing a great job with it, and we're excited to have a couple of those guys return for us.
And when you look at this senior class, what are some words that you would use to describe just what they have meant to this team?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I actually was talking about this a little bit with some people, with especially our 5th years that now I've had a chance to be with for the majority of their career. And you know, they're just such leaders. I think of that word 100% is leaders, both on and off the field. They set the standard in the classroom, as well as on the field, and leading by example. Fun. They're a lot of fun. They're not, you know, they're not shy, and we can have some fun conversations. And I think competitors, that's the big one. These girls are all competitors. They like to compete, and they bring an extra level of energy to practice every day that we have to make sure that we fill next year.
You talked about, looking at this team and making sure that obviously with this senior class and winning on senior day and having these moments, like you said, with some words to describe them and whatnot, seeing the makeup of this team and who they are and what they've become, you've also gone through injuries, as you talked about. How has this team navigated through injuries? And they always say that injuries have the positive opportunity of building depth, right? Because you can build toward your future. So what have the injuries done for you positively?
Yeah, it's tough because our injuries were all fifth year and senior student athletes, so definitely a bummer for them. But as you talked about from a positive viewpoint, we've had to have people step up. We've had to have some younger attackers really take care of the ball. We've had to have younger midfielders step up, or people who didn't get a lot of playing time last year. And same thing in the defensive end, kind of next person up has been ready to go. So we've definitely seen some positivity out of it, and especially this weekend, Kelly Thomas got a start. Junior hasn't played a lot in her career. She had 2 goals. She played great this weekend, and Sarah Hutchings has been really dominant for us and has really stepped up since we've lost Erin. So we definitely have had players step up, and it's exciting to see that they're doing that now in preparation for next year when these seniors and fifth years are gone, and they'll be able to hopefully contribute right away along with some freshmen we have coming in.
And you talk about the freshmen coming in. Recruiting is a massive part of any team. Mm-hmm. You and I have, discussed this a little bit, and the importance of recruiting locally, how much talent is around here. I've spoken with some of your incoming players, your Allison Coles from CNS and your Sarah Hunters from Beville, and so with the opportunity to really bring in the talent from this region, I know that you're looking everywhere, but just what you could say about the fact that there really is a lot of talent here.
No, there's so much. It's awesome. I think the big thing, going back to our senior day, we had so many parents that were there for the game and stayed for the event after, and the parent support means a lot, and it's because they don't have to travel too far. Their kids are pretty local. So it is exciting, and we actually just had our first somewhat local commit from up north for the 23 class, and we're expanding a little bit to the Long Island area, but lacrosse is growing, and it's just great, though, that it's still so strong right here, and we're going to continue to recruit right in our backyard. But we also are starting to pull from some other hotbeds, which means, we're putting Syracuse on the map a little bit, too. So I'm excited about the class we've got coming in and the future classes we're starting to build, and, I'm very lucky to be in this area where recruiting is not the hardest part of my job.
Yeah, and that's something that where, with other places, it does become difficult, right? They have to go out and they have to search and they have to look. And like you said, you have so much just sitting right here for you, right for the taking. It's nice to have a farm that's down the road as opposed to a farm that's 1,000 miles away.
Absolutely.
What is it about? I mean, I know that the history of lacrosse has dug its roots up here in the Northeast, but what is it about lacrosse that you think has made it so successful for so long in our region and really in the state of New York?
I think there's just a lot of tradition around here. I mean, you have the reservations as well, and so you have a lot of history. You said that word, history. So I think kids are constantly learning, coaches and people are constantly learning about the actual history of the game and who started it and the people that created this game. And we don't have that if you were to go to, Florida. That's not the case there. So I think that's a big part of it. I also am just kind of reflecting on and thinking about some of the high school coaches, and I know recently there was an article about some of the teams in Section 3, and it was all female coaches, but it's actually all female coaches who have played in this area. So I think we're starting to have a lot of people who grew up in this area, and they're giving back to the game, they're coaching, they're becoming refs. and they're giving back and they're keeping those traditions strong and alive. So I think that's a big piece of it. You look at myself, I went to high school at JD, and LeMoyne is about 10 minutes down the road, if that. So I think that's why. And it's like that on the boys' side as well. You look at a lot of our high school programs are led by local talent that grew up in the area.
Why do you think people stay? I mean, you're somebody that's stuck around. Why?
Good question. The weather makes me question it all the time. For me, it's the sense of community that's here, and I know the weather is challenging Syracuse, and people say there's nothing to do, but there is a lot to do. You just got to hit it the right time of year, and you got to be a little adventurous. But for me, it's the community feeling, especially at LeMoyne, and my family's all here, and this is what I know. And I've moved other places. I've gone to other jobs, and I've always kind of came back to this area, and I just love upstate New York.
You know, I love the fact that you said something. You said, I moved to other areas and I came back, because I did the same thing.
Right.
And I went to school in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I graduated and was not even home 3 months, moved back to Scranton, Dunmore area, started working at the ESPN affiliate there, came back here, went down to Orlando, and then came back here. And everybody's like, why would you come back from Florida? And I said, well, you don't get it. I get the best of both worlds. I get my hometown.
Right.
I get to build my business here, which turns 10 this July.
Right.
And so it's like I get to build everything where I grew up with this blue-collar town. And Florida's our second home of the show, and we cover so many teams there. So I get to be here but fly there.
Right.
You know, and you get to live in that world. But it's good that you said what you said, because some people never leave where they are.
Right.
You and I have been away.
Right.
And we came back.
Right.
Which I think should speak to recruits.
Yep.
And, to really anybody, business owners, recruits, whatever it may be, people that want to sportscast and whatnot, that being here there's so much good to it. Because we came back here and you have built success. You've done a lot of things. I mean, this is, I guess we call this season 3.
Yeah.
Because it's very weird in the COVID.
3,
But, you've had what was it, 17-1 the past 2 seasons or something like that, somewhere around there. Before this. Yeah. And so to see what you've done at the time that we're talking now, I believe it's 28-5 your record is. So I mean, you've done an incredible job up here. So obviously you know how to get it done. Right. And not only here at LeMoyne, but also with the teams that you're playing, which in the NE10, not everybody's as easy to get to. This is the NE10 is branched out a little bit more than some other conferences where you're used to playing teams within a certain radius.
Right. Yeah, the NE10 is definitely challenging. I mean, we got in our road trips this week are 5.5 hour drive. So it certainly is challenging, but I'm with you. This is home, and I think to your point, we tell a lot of our recruits too. Stay home and get the best of both worlds, and then we're going to prepare you to go somewhere. We have a couple kids that have been interviewing for jobs in Charlotte right now, and they're ready to branch out, but I still have a feeling they're going to come back after a couple years, but they at least feel prepared to make that next step. But they've done a lot of really great things in their career at LeMoyne, and I think they're proud that they made that decision to stay close to home.
Well, I tell people, I always say, this is like where I live here in upstate New York. I'm close enough to Wegmans and Target, but I'm far enough away that's quiet.
Right.
And I always tell people, I was like, growing up as a kid, there's different things that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
I was afraid of aliens.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I was like, I got to be far enough away where it's quiet and I can see stars, but not far to the point where you can build a crop circle.
Right.
So, I mean, I think, and going off of that, it's like upstate New York is that balance of you get enough of the city, you got one of the greatest, you got the Dome down the road here, you have a Jesuit institution, which is one of 27 or 28 in the whole country in LeMoyne. And when you look at LeMoyne now, I mean, LeMoyne was known for, when I was growing up as a kid, men's lacrosse. Now women's lacrosse is good. Yep. We have successes on the baseball field. We have baseball players that go and play in Major League Baseball.
Right.
The basketball teams have both been successful. Golf has had success.
Yeah.
Tennis has had tremendous success with women's and men's. So it's like LeMoyne has grown into this, I don't even want to call it a sleeping giant because it's fully awake, but the thing that I love is like growing up here as a kid, it was like you go to the Dome, you do this, you do that. You go to the Dome, you go to the mall. You go to the Dome, you go to the mall. And now when you go out to LeMoyne, like this weekend, I went and saw the men's team play on tennis, and it was so much fun to just sit there and go, wow, you know, and then have Coach Jeff Lonzak come over and talk to me, and I'm like, how are things going? He's like, well, we won this one, we won this one. I mean, it's winning is second nature at LeMoyne now.
Right.
So when I look at our community and what can you do and how can you be successful, LeMoyne, between having speakers come in to events that go on to suicide prevention and something that just happened over the weekend, to the success of the sports, to the education you get, and that I'm not afraid to talk about God, Jesuit, you know, makeup. There's so much here with LeMoyne that I love the fact that through the own, really the thanks to Linda Lemira and Bob Beretta, that I've had the opportunity to, in my own way, like become a Dolphin as they've let me, because my dad was a Dolphin.
Okay, yeah.
And so one of the coolest things was when we signed the multimedia marketing partnership, that I brought my dad. It had nothing to do with anything we planned. I brought my dad on campus and I shot a video talking to him about it.
Nice.
And so, I mean, you know, you talk about community, it all comes back, but really my point is there's a lot to be thankful for here in Central New York, but to be a Dolphin is really, really special.
Yeah, I totally agree. You kind of hit the nail on the head there. The academic experience that they're going to get in, and you know, I think the big thing I look at is so many of our student athletes graduate and have jobs lined up and they're ready to go and they're ready to join the workforce. And I know for myself at Portland, while I was in that boat, lucky enough to be, a lot of my teammates had to kind of figure out what they wanted to do. And, you know, and there's just a different type of dedication off the field, I think, at LeMoyne, that it goes from the professors and preparing, and it's that preparation piece that is just so important. So, you know, it's just a really, again, like you, I didn't go to LeMoyne, but I feel really, really blessed to be able to be kind of in this Dolphin world right now.
It is. It's so much. It's just fun. It's really fun. And when you go on campus, like, people say hello.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized, is Bob talked about it, and I was like, well, you're not blowing smoke, Bob. Like, every time I come on campus, people are super nice.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like within this, especially now, this crazy, crazy world that we live in, that you could just go somewhere and people are like, do you need help?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yep.
How's your day?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, good.
Yep.
Like, one of the teachers, and when I had gone and I did an interview with Linda, by the way, Linda Lemira, happy birthday, God bless. So we were talking, and I come out of her office, and there was a teacher leaving, and something inside of me was just like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm good, how are you? And we just walked out together, and we started talking back and forth. I told him what I did. I gave him my card. He emailed me that night and sent me this email of like, Dan, it was so great to meet you.
Oh,
I just
cool.
wanted to follow up and say hello. And, you know, some people take your card and they're, I'll get in touch with you right away. And it was like, it was my pleasure to meet you. I hope everything's going well. And it was just genuine kindness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we've had that. I've had that most recently. We added an academic faculty rep to all of our programs at LeMoyne. We have a department one, and then we've added one to our team. And he came to our senior celebration and was part of that. And I think, you know, he's really proud of these student athletes, and he's not super connected with us, but just enough that he's like, this is awesome of what you guys are doing, and he wanted to be part of that celebration this weekend. So I'm with you on that. It's just awesome to see everybody supporting each other on campus.
And I got to shout that out because Bob and I spoke about it, as we are here live at Cafe Kubal, on site, on location. You know, Monday through Friday, you hear Cafe Kubal is our exclusive studio partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We fill our cup up right. I get my chai here. I got asked the question last week of what coffee do you have a choice. I always go with the chais. I'm a tea guy. I like chai stuff, and they make their spices and syrups in-house. So my point of being here and celebrating 324 West Water Street is I'm so happy they reopened. But now I have to ask you, what's your go-to? Cause
I'm a chai. Okay. I'm a chai tea latte with some caramel in there is usually my go-to. I went with a tea today, the peach blossom, but I'm normally the chai tea latte as well. I'm not a coffee drinker, so That's what I go with.
Something about the chai here, and the thing that I love, and I got to shout out Aldia for this, who's out at the manliest location on 343 Fayette Street. She's bounced around to some different places and helping them out in a great way, and so they have pumpkins seasonally.
Okay.
And I'm an October baby.
Okay.
And I've always been connected to pumpkins. I don't know why. But when people get really mad at anything pumpkin spice, like when they get annoyed or they say it's like bougie or something like that, I'm like, listen, I'm not a Kardashian. I just like my pumpkin. So Aldia, like, they'll have it, and then it'll be, done with, and it's like February, March, and I'll go see her, and she'll say, what do you want in your chai? And I'm like, I don't know. You got brown sugar, vanilla? She goes, I got some pumpkin. And I was like, for real? She goes, yeah, I saved it for you.
Oh, that's so nice.
So I get my pumpkin spice chai mostly all year long.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, it helps to know people.
Good. Yeah, it definitely does. Definitely does.
So we have the LeMoyne Takeover today at Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street, here at the Creek Walk Commons location in Syracuse, New York. They are located all throughout Syracuse and upstate New York, and of course, so happy to be back here. The thing that I love about what they did in the reopening of this Cafe Kubal is they reimagined it as well. And they put in new seating, and we have this awesome couch here. And if you've ever been to, if you go from one Cafe Kubal to the next, the cool thing about supporting Cafe Kubal is that it's local, like LeMoyne.
Yep.
So supporting is, it's staying here. The money's staying here. Everything stays here. And not only that, but every cafe looks different.
Yes.
So when you go to Cafe Kubal, if you experience them all, it's like going to multiple different cafes. So I think it's great because they each have their personality and they're local. So if you're out in Manlius or you're here at Creek Walk, you're having a different experience, but you're still getting the same awesome chais that we selfishly like to drink.
Yes, agreed. I don't come often, but every time I've been, I agree with you. It's a little bit different at each location.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of fun here. So we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we have a lot to get into. I do want to talk about suicide prevention over the weekend and the importance of that message, as many people have been. In fact, one of my best friends had left this earth way too soon. So we can talk about all of that and how LeMoyne is paying it forward in such a uniquely amazing way. And we'll do that right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Once again, we are inside of the Cafe Kubal studios with LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach Liz Beville, and we'll be joined by Bob Beretta in the back half of today's broadcast right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of Cafe Kubal.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of Cafe Kubal. You know that we're always inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Today, we're literally inside of Cafe Kubal, and I'm a little jealous that Liz gets to drink her Cafe Kubal because I have to get mine after the show because I was fighting with the meter outside. But that's okay. It's for another day, another story, and if any cop is watching, I am a law-abiding citizen, so please be good to my car. So we're inside of the 324 West Water Street location at the Creekwalk Commons in downtown Syracuse here with LeMoyne women's lacrosse head coach Liz Beville. And Liz, something that the LeMoyne community got to do over this weekend, like I said, always paying it forward, trying to do more than just be a college with athletics and academics, is suicide prevention. And just, what you can say about that. I mean, looks like there was an incredible turnout.
There was, yeah.
A lot of support, and just to bring us into exactly what that was.
Yeah, so last night the campus hosted their first ever Out of Darkness walk, and honestly that was a bit surprising that was the first one that they've done. Our campus has been affected by suicide, and so I think it was a great first step, and we look forward to continuing that tradition of holding these walks. But we had a really great turnout. A lot of student athletes showed up. They brought in a DJ, and someone did a song and a interpretive dance. So there was a lot of different things. But I think it was just really important to show the student athletes that we're listening, and that there are people there to support them and to provide the education. And that's really the biggest piece that I think everyone is trying to figure out is how do we give them the resources, how do we provide the education so that this doesn't continue to be something that happens. And I think suicide is the second leading cause among 18 to 24-year-olds. I think the speaker said last night. So we need to be doing more. And again, I think it was a beautiful weather, as you mentioned earlier. It was a really, really nicely put on event, and we look forward to continuing that, continuing to talk about it.
And I think, it's when we were growing up, it was mental health wasn't talked about, right? It was people would tell you, figure it out,
right?
You're fine.
Yep.
Stop being a hypochondriac.
Yeah.
Stop being paranoid. What are you complaining about? And there were times where you just needed somebody to listen. And I know, and I was affected by suicide personally, like in multiple ways. I know that there are moments in the strongest of people where we just need someone to be there. And, I love that we're talking about mental health now. I don't know why. I'm not going to ask, but I'm appreciative that it's not, this world anymore of you're fine.
You're right.
Like when somebody just tells you enough, it's like somebody telling me I'm a giraffe.
Right.
You can tell me 100 times I'm a giraffe, but I know that I'm not.
Right.
And there's people that really just needed help, and there wasn't an avenue for that. And now that student athletes, and really athletes in general, professional athletes, are going, you know what?
Yep.
I need a mental health day.
Yep.
It's too much.
Yep.
And whatever people think of it, I think it's funny that human beings forget. When you're a fan, and some fans forget this, those are people.
Yeah.
They're not robots.
Yep.
They have a brain, they have a heart, they have a body, they have a soul, they need time.
Right.
And you're sitting in the stands going, well, she should have saw that.
Yeah.
She should have done that. She should have blocked that. She should have stopped that. Should have been faster for that. What are they teaching her about that? And I'm sitting here going, she's a human being. There's going to be moments where we're not perfect.
Right.
And I think that people forget that athletes take so much before the social media world. Athletes, referees, and coaches were the ones that were always told how terrible they are from someone's opinion. And social media, now we all get to hear it, thankfully. Be nice, people. But, you know, since forever, student athletes and athletes in general have always had to hear what people think of them. And I don't think people understand what that does to your mental health.
Yeah, and you bring up Twitter, and I think that's the big one. And I know recently there's been a lot of people saying, hey, before these weekends games starts, don't forget that they're 18 to 24-year-olds, you know, whatever sport you're in, but they're just trying to do the best that they can. They're trying to play their sport and do the best they can for their team. And we are very quick to criticize or judge or tell them this or that. I do want to mention, too, we've done some dedication games the last 2 years, our team, and then this year the men's program did it, too. Morgan's Message, which is a nonprofit organization. Morgan Rogers played lacrosse at Duke, had a season-ending injury, and her mental health really suffered after that. So, you know, we're talking about somebody that has dedicated their whole life to doing their sport and then being told they can't do this anymore, and that really took a toll. And so her parents created this organization, and basically it's to end the stigma, you know, about mental health, and to be okay to talk about it. Just as we were saying, you have to be comfortable talking about it. So that's been really special for our team, is to then do dedication games to bring awareness to that, to help break that stigma of mental health in student athletes specifically. But I think, you know, also to your point, LeMoyne has done a good job of adding more resources. This year we added an academic assistant athletic director for academic and student success with Liza Hilligus. And so her role has shifted a little bit, where kids don't have to just come to their coaches. They have another person in the department, and she'll help them get their next resources as well. So it's just so important to continue talking about this topic and to let kids know that is okay to not be okay. And we've gone through it, and I think a lot of female sports teams probably go through it more than the males do, but I feel like sometimes I'm a counselor, I will say that, and I'm not qualified for that, and so I need help and I need resources. And so I think LeMoyne has been doing a really great job to provide those, but it is something that I think just as a society we have to talk about more, so that everybody is comfortable having those conversations.
Yeah, you know, and like you said, I mean, you're a coach, you don't know all the answers, right? And I think in a lot of ways, coaches have been asked to be a teacher, a coach, a big sister, a big brother, a dad, a mom, an uncle, an aunt, and to be a moderator, you know, somebody, a motivator, somebody who can be, you know, the in-between if there's an issue going on, right? So you're also, like, you know, feel like you're in court sometimes, of like listening to both sides and all that. So with all of that, plus being a counselor, you can't do all of it. Right. You know, and sometimes you need the help.
Right. Yeah, I know it.
You know, and I want to speak to that side of it, that coaches are, I mean, it's like if you're a coach and people are like, you've reached your highest pinnacle of mental health, you are physically healthy, your heart's fine, you've never had a problem in your life, your job is to take care of everybody else. What about you?
Right.
So what about you?
Yeah, I think with that, my staff has been really open. I think that my staff has all gone through kind of our own personal things, and we've sought help before, and we're very open with that with our student athletes. I think that's another thing where some coaches don't want to be that vulnerable or let their student athletes know, but I've found that it turns into something where they trust you, they respect you a little bit more, they you know, you feel for each other's stories in that. I know for myself, like, I will take my breaks. I didn't for a long time, and I would reach a breaking point and be so stressed out. And, you know, so after I was done at Colgate, I'm like, I'm getting a dog. I'm doing it. I've been talking about it. And just even having 20 minutes to just go for a walk and walk the dog and take a break. And I'll leave my phone. I usually leave my phone every time I walk, because I need 20 minutes to just kind of think and decompress and not think about lacrosse or other people. It's time for me to just focus on me and King Louie when we're walking.
All right, and I get that because I went out for a walk yesterday with Lily, and I'm just watching her.
Yep.
You know, I'm watching her, and I'm thinking to myself, why am I not doing this more? Like I was doing it every day, and it changed my life.
Right.
You know, like people talk about healthy body, healthy mind, healthy mind, healthy body. Like it changed my life to walk, and all it was just taking Lily, going outside, going for a walk, get my steps in, come back, go outside at night. And it's funny because people are like, well, how do you get healthy? How do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like, you put the work in.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yep.
You go for a walk, hour, and I'll go for like, I don't know, hour and a half, and come back, and, you know, there you are. You got it for the day. You feel good. And then everything about me changed physically, but mentally, I got calmer. I could hear my thoughts. I could control my thoughts.
Right.
And I was just like, wow, an hour a day is all it took for me to get control of my brain instead of your brain controlling you and telling you this, this, and this. Like, walking to me, and I know for other people maybe something different, but walking gave me the ability to, like, I've always prayed, but there was a calming silence of just good, positive feeling that just, it came with that. And I don't know how to describe it except for the fact that I felt free.
Yeah, I think it's just important. You got to take that me time, and you know, it's definitely hard, and I'll say it's tough during the season too to find time to get to the gym or do this or that, but I think even 20-30 minutes a day can just be so beneficial to just say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is for me, you know, I'll worry about this next thing in an hour. You know, and I've been trying to do a lot better with that. I'm still not perfect, but it's a challenge when you're in a position where you've got to be there for a lot of people, but you have to take the time for yourself, because if you're not your best self, you're not going to be able to give your best to all these people that are expecting it from you.
Oh, and you see that when you're when you're not okay and you're giving your best to everybody, like your energy is draining, and eventually, even if you are kind of like if you're helping other people, you're still losing yourself. And I tell people all the time, I go, listen, our phones are attached to us, right?
Yep.
So most of us, we can't put it down.
Right.
What do you do every day? You charge your phone.
Yeah.
So if you charge your phone because you need it, why don't you charge your own battery because you need you? You know, we don't take the time to, and I tell people all the time, did you remember to plug yourself in today? Because I can't tell you how many times recently I'm like, I haven't plugged myself in 4 days. My battery's on 12%. Like, I'm not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
And you do. And what I ended up doing, I got sick. My body just, and I do that right around March.
Yep.
I just ran it down, and my body had fought against everything. And then I felt it mid-March, and I was like, you know what? This is 100% on me. And when you feel that, you're like, remember now what you need to do, because you are the keeper of your body, and sometimes we treat our bodies like, well, you know, when this one stops working, I'll just get another one.
Yeah, I agree. No, and it's funny as you talk about that. You know, today is actually Dolphy Day on campus, and so there's a lot of festivities that our team unfortunately won't be able to participate in because we've got some big games coming up. But I've got some water balloons, I think, that are going to be at practice today. And so you talk about, you know, yourself as coaches and leaders, but also the student athletes, they sometimes just need a little break. And so if I can take 10 minutes out of practice to do, you know, a little quick water balloon fight or whatever we're going to turn that into today, you know, we got to do it. We have to always be thinking about, like, what is best. And sometimes that 10 minutes of, instead of running, you know, hard sprints for 10 minutes, all right, let's have a water balloon fight. Let's have some fun. You know, we can still make it fun, and they're going to get the job done.
Yeah. How do you balance, here with Liz Beville, LeMoyne College women's lacrosse head coach, as we have the LeMoyne takeover at Cafe Kubal today, on site at 324 West Water Street at the Creekwalk Commons in downtown Syracuse. How do you balance, I'm a coach, and I have to tough love it sometimes, and then I want to have a water balloon fight. How do you be their friend and their leader?
Yeah, so this season I would say has been the most challenging of all of those things that you just said, of trying to figure that out.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes.
The biggest thing is you have to set your expectations early on. You have to do relationship building. So that's, from the fall, that's when a lot of that happens.
Yeah.
And then we talk about expectation. We talk about standards a lot. And as long as they're doing and meeting those expectations, we can have a little bit of fun. And we're very clear in that. And we even did a drill last week. We had some football pads and noodles out, and we combined it into something where, hey, we really need to get this kind of skill set done, and we needed to work on these elements. But we're gonna let you kind of whack each other with the noodles a little bit and tough each other up with those football pads. And it turned into this whole little thing after. And again, we took 5 minutes to do it. So I think if you do that more often, they're gonna want to work harder in those other moments where it is gonna be a tougher day. And preseason in Syracuse, New York is no easy feat. We keep talking about the weather, but it's snowy, it's cold. We're going to 41 for indoor practices. We might only get an hour of time outside, on occasion. So I think as long as you continue as a coach to have that respect amongst your team, you make sure you're talking constantly about your expectations and what the standard is, that it is okay to have some fun in there. And I've always been a coach like that. People say, what's your coaching philosophy? What's your coaching style? I say, I'm not a whistle coach. I don't like to blow the whistle every 5 seconds. I don't like to put people on the line, to run them if they're not doing something right. Like, let's play it out, see how it goes, and then let's talk about how we need to fix it. But let's also enjoy this game, because this game, to me, is the best sport around. It's supposed to bring you joy. It's supposed to bring you friendship and peace, and it's, for your health as well. And so we have to remember, at the end of the day, it is a game. My grandpa always says this, it's a game. You either win or you lose. It's very simple. And one of them is going to happen. So you can control the work you put in, to have that outcome that you want. But if you lose, you lose. It's okay. Life is going to go on. So, and same thing in practice. We can take those 5 minutes to do something fun, and get the smiles and laughs going, because they're going to work harder after they've had a little bit of fun, because they know that you're not, pushing them 24/7. They're pushed so much. We've been talking about that. They're pushed in the classroom. They're pushed in their outside lives. Like, let's make sure they still enjoy coming to practice for 2 hours every day.
And it's a great point, because you would think about it, like, I played basketball, and if coach was upset and we just lost the game, and we're running suicides, and then we're doing drills, and he's screaming and this and that.
Yeah.
After an hour, it's like, dude, stop.
Right.
Right. If we took a break, which we never did, Coach, but if we took a break, and did something fun, then we could have had that. And the thing is, you never forget a good coach.
Right.
You never forget a bad one. And I never forgot my senior year of high school. We had a bad coach, and he had the #1 team. We were the best team in the area.
Yep.
And he had a chance of winning a championship, and he broke the team himself. And I look back on that day, and I just remember we were in the locker room at halftime, and he came in there, and he burst through the door, because we're all like, where's Coach?
Yeah.
And he burst through the door, and he says to us, he says, what are you trying to do out there? Like, are you really trying to embarrass me?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And he said, I built this team. Remember that. I'm paraphrasing, but the things I remember, he's like, I built this team. Like, this is my team. You're not going to embarrass me. Like, I made you. And I remember having my foot on the bench in the middle of the locker room going, he didn't run suicides with us.
Yep.
Like, he just gave us no credit for what we built. And he broke the team. And he broke the team so much that we've never come back together with him. And that was in 2003. But we still love each other.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, there's never been an alumni game. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? So it's and then there's those coaches that change it, right? There was a coach I had before that, my JV coach, who I didn't think, like, saw me on the court. I didn't think he gave me any time. I don't think he saw what I was good at. I don't think he saw me work. And I was always like, why didn't he see it? What did I do? And I kept working, and I kept working. And then the next year, he stopped coaching, and he was in the stands. And I would come out onto the floor, and every time I ran by him, he goes, Danny, shoot it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, and he goes, when you get the ball, shoot it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Coach, he goes, I don't care where it is, I don't care when it is, you know you can shoot it, shoot it.
Yeah.
Because I've always three-point shooter,
Right.
and I love shooting the ball. So, and not like, I mean, I passed if I had to, but it didn't matter where I was. That's what I mean by it. And and one time I'll never forget, he was sitting in the front row, and I walked by, and he tugged on my shorts, and he goes, hey, why aren't you shooting?
Yeah.
And I never forget, like, that as a coach, I didn't think he saw me.
Right.
But after that, he did.
Yep.
And Coach Casalia, I love you.
Yeah.
And that other coach that never saw
Yeah.
me and then never saw me, never talked to him again.
Yeah.
So it's like you never forget how a coach
Right.
affects you. And I think you know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the college level, they're growing up. And, you know, obviously in high school, we grow up a lot, but college is a whole new ball game. And I know for myself, you know, going from freshman to senior year, I grew tremendously. And so I think you're spot on. That's why the relationship piece is so important, and you have to build trust, you have to build respect, and you have to have some tough love, but you also have to have some bright moments, because again, you're with them for every day, and it's 2 hours a day, but we need the best of them and our student athletes for those 2 hours. So how can we get that? And that's something, again, our staff goes through every day when we're practice planning, like, hey, we're going to do this drill, but let's throw this in. And it's just important to find that balance.
When you're the daughter of a coach, sometimes I feel like the stigma is like you feel nothing because you've seen it all, right? So how have you developed your own personality and shown your team in other ways, not just water balloon fights, that you know, it's not like you're desensitized because you've seen so much?
Yeah, it's funny. I think that, you know, guys and girls are just so different at the college level, and so although now I think a lot of our problems that my dad and I have are becoming similar, but you know, I think I'm a just totally different coach than he is in a sense. I think the one thing that is consistent is we both love this game. We both wouldn't want to have any other career besides coaching, so to us it doesn't feel like a job. But I think, you know, his style is a little bit tougher, and he's a little bit more old school, and I maybe throw in some different things. And again, you know, we're talking about female student athletes at a high level education institution, and they've got a lot of stuff they're worried about. So we have to kind of take a second and break those things down and do more check-ins. But you know, I think for again, I talked about this earlier, is just being vulnerable and sharing your stories. And I wasn't an All-American player, but I worked very hard, and my teams at Cortland were very successful. But I had to put that work in. You know, we talked about that too, and you have to put the work in, and you have to go through challenges to get to where you want to get to in life, and that's certainly my case, and I'm not afraid to share that story with my players.
That coming from Liz Beville here with us, LeMoyne College Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach, as we have our LeMoyne takeover at Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street in the Creekwalk Commons in downtown Syracuse. And every time Liz takes a sip of her Cafe Kubal, I'm saying to myself, I can't wait. So
it's going to be that much sweeter when you get it. It's going to taste even better at the end of this.
I know, and I try to steal a little bit for myself. Like I get a big enough cup that I try to I save a little for like tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So during the show, I'm sipping on it when I'm there. But other times I down it because I just want it so bad.
I think that's going to be today.
Yeah, that's probably going to be today. But I mean, I really do appreciate, you know, local sports, local people, local business, local, you know, community college, you know, here, like a college that, and not a community college, but a college within our community that LeMoyne has been so devout in building and pushing itself and advancing itself. And I never see LeMoyne stagnant. You know, that's something that, like, I can appreciate. I mean, it hasn't even been a year of our multimedia marketing partnership, and every month I'm like, wait, they're doing that? Oh, they did that? Oh, they're thinking about that? There's always something, and I feel so spoiled that I get to, not that I have to, that I get to work with LeMoyne, because Coaches are fun. Student athletes are awesome, and everybody's story is just so cool. And even the social media, like shout out to, I don't know who's running it, if you're running, somebody's running it.
Julia Alberici is the best ever.
Because you're LeMoyne, like the hype videos and the stuff at the beginning of the season, I share it on my story and whatnot. I loved seeing like the music and the girls, and it was just like, I mean, it looks D1.
Yeah.
It looks top notch.
Yep.
So in that respect, there is the conversation of the reclassification and realignment. You said, and I mentioned this when I talked to Bob about the reclassification realignment, Bob Beretta, the AD at LeMoyne. Him and I spoke about this, and I mentioned one Liz Beville, because you said when you defeated Lindenwood, who's becoming D1, you said, well, I just wanted everybody to know in D1 that we're the best team in this division. So what are your thoughts on the potential of LeMoyne being a Division I school?
Yeah, it's a tough question for me, and I would say, you know, I think Danny is in the same boat with the men's lacrosse program. We've both been very lucky to just be very dominant in the Division II field right now, you know, and that would change if we go D1, and there's a transition period, and there's a lot that goes into it. You know, certainly from a recruiting and lacrosse, everyone wants to go D1, everyone wants the D1, but you know, we've been talking about LeMoyne and how special it is, and I think that right now, you know, D2 is a great place where these kids can focus on academics, they can focus on athletics, they are preparing themselves for their next steps. We see so many student athletes going on and getting into the career, you know, that they want to right out of college because they have internships going in the summer, and you know, going Division I might change that. There's more travel involved. There's, you know, different commitments to athletics. So, you know, for me, you know, I think we're in a great spot right now with Division II. I certainly understand why we're looking, and we have Stonehill, you know, recently announced they're going Division I, and Lindenwood, as we talked about. So the landscape is changing a little bit. So understand it completely from a competitive perspective, and we want to stay competitive. If we don't want to be the best by just playing Joe Schmoes. But you know, I think it's interesting, you know, and it's interesting because I think too, when you look at just in our area, and as a club coach, I go back to this a lot, because when I had kids looking at the schools, I'd say go to Syracuse, walk around campus, go to LeMoyne, walk around campus, go to Cortland, walk around, and then you even have OCC to throw in there. You've got every division and a community college right in the backyard, basically. And all have benefits, but all are going to be different based on what you want as a student athlete. So go look at these. And now if we change, you know, from Division II, and now we're this small D1, you know, do we get lost? Because then you have Division I Syracuse right there. So I think there's pros and cons, certainly, but you know, I'm really happy with where we are right now. So it'll be interesting to see. We had consultants come in recently. It'll be interesting to see what they came up with and the information. But you know, I think we're where we need to be.
And, you know, and it's interesting to have this conversation, because there's the lore of D1 and being able to say you're D1. But you said something that years ago, before I met you, before, you know, Bob was here, before any of this, in my world, I was just on the show, and I do a thing around this time of year where I talk about the success of the teams, and I bounce around, and I spoke about the Cortlands and the LeMoynes and the Syracuses and the OCCs, and I would go to men's and women's lacrosse and just kind of go down the line, and I said exactly what you said. Division I, II, III, and junior college. You literally have, at every level in our community, within a few miles from each other, success in lacrosse, men's and women's. So, you know, it's like LeMoyne is the best Division II. We have, you know, Syracuse, which has done so many great things in Division I. We have other D1 programs within our region. Then you have Cortland, which is so good, Division III. And then you have OCC, which has been dominant, especially on the men's side of it, with Chuck Wilbur and everything he had done there in you know, junior college. So we really hit every level, and I love talking about it. I'm like, literally at every level we're good. Like nobody can stop Central New York and upstate New York. So that is a good point. At the same time, you know, there could be rivalries in certain conferences in D1 that would be less travel for you and be more of a New York setting.
Right.
So and it could help in recruiting.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's like positives on one side, then there's the challenges on the other side. I'm not going to call them negatives.
Right.
I'm going to call them challenges.
Absolutely.
But I totally get what you're saying, and I think it's in the eye of the beholder too, right? Because to some teams, it's like, hey, we would love that jump because it would help us out, where with men's and women's lacrosse, it's like, well, you know, we're the big cat, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm just thinking of as you say this. You know, we're specifically talking about lacrosse, but we're not the only sport, you know, and so it is. I think that's what the challenge is that, you know, it might be better for this sport, but for lacrosse, it might be a worse decision. You know, we don't know. So I think that is the interesting part of all of this, is to really look at the bigger landscape of things. But because I'm the lacrosse coach, you know, that's why I have the opinion I have, because you look at the dominance, you know, in each division in this community, and for me, it's like, why do we want to change that?
And that point is so well taken. Did you get to speak with, you know, when they had the person come onto campus to kind of do their assessment? Did you have an opportunity to speak with them?
Yeah, we had a coaches meeting. There were a lot of things that were discussed and brought up, and really kind of what changes would probably need to be made. I think a lot of us have had some Division I experience. You know, I was at Colgate for a year, and you know, for me, like, I wanted Division II or Division III head coaching job. I don't necessarily want to coach D1, and so we know that there are some things that need to be changed in order to be successful at the Division I level than what we currently have right now. So you know, again, talking more about those are challenges. They're not negatives, but and there are some positives, and I think you mentioned it right at the beginning of the show. We're having a really great year, from tennis to golf to lacrosse. Basketball did awesome. You know, we're having a lot of success, and so we want to make sure, if we do make that change, that we're doing it the right way and that we can continue the success we have in all of our sports.
As you have, I mean, LeMoyne has been tremendous, and being able to see that has been incredible. I want to get back to a point that you were talking about at the beginning of our broadcast here from Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street at the Creek Walk Commons in Syracuse, here with Liz Beville, the LeMoyne College Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach, and double-digit victories again, and an opportunity at the postseason coming up here. 2 more games on the road before that, and of course Bob Beretta coming up in just a little bit here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You said, people say there's nothing to do in Central New York, and that's not true.
Yeah.
One of our listeners just wrote that in as well, and I appreciate that, Greg. I had to hear that growing up for so long. I mean, leave, you know, college. I went to Marywood University, and 2 hours south, almost a direct straight line in Scranton. And I come back at 4th, whatever, and people, oh, there's nothing to do here. And, oh, it's so boring. And, oh, what is there? The mall, and go see a movie. And I defended it back then, and now I don't defend it anymore because I don't even feel like I have to.
Right.
You know, because I'm a man who loves to walk.
Right.
And I love my dog. And I love going to a game. And there's always something going on at LeMoyne.
Yep.
And there's great local businesses I get to frequent. And I love the movies, so shout out to Movie Tavern. Thank you for coming to us. And thank you so much to the people that, you know, whatever time you're showing up, when you don't show up in mine and it looks like I rented out the theater, that's just a wonderful plus. Because they put the thing of like, rent out our theater. I'm like, I don't have to pay for it. I just did.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that I get to enjoy here. And the reason why is because I know great people.
Yep.
And great people are always doing great things. And when you're attached to that, you know, when you're attached to a business owner at Cafe Kubal who you just love getting a cup of coffee or tea with, and you sit for an hour and talk about sports, or what, that to me is something to do. When you and I get to, you know, sit here today and relax and talk, there's something to do. I feel like the vibe I get from you, you love your dog, I love my dog. We could talk about the dogs all day. So, you know, I'm not the type of person that has to go somewhere. I just have to be in good company. And so I think because there's so many great people in Central New York, I feel like there's always something to do because there's always somebody to do it with.
Right. Well, I think, we talked about walking, all the different state parks and trails, and we have minor league hockey, we've got minor league baseball. The summer, there's always festivals going on around here. So it's just, you have to actually get out and go do something. You can't just let it come to you. But I definitely think there's plenty of stuff, and then if you're a winter I'm not a winter like sports person, but skiing, all the ski, all the resorts that we have, go skiing, go snowboarding, go, do something, ice fishing.
You're one of those like watch in the cabin while you drink hot
Oh
chocolate.
yeah, oh yeah.
You guys go ski,
Yep,
I'll watch.
yep. I know you played basketball as well. Played basketball and then lacrosse, and it was like I hit a point where I was like, I can't be hurt for these things. I'm not gonna risk it out on the mountain. So I gave up skiing a while ago, but I spend so much time in the snow and bad weather in the spring, as we air quote it, but I don't need to do that in January either. I'll wait till the end of January, February, half of March, and that's my winter outside there.
Yeah, and I always tell people I love the snow from the inside of my house, looking at it fall.
Yep.
Like, I don't like driving in the ice.
Yep.
I don't like driving in the snow. I love, and I'm going to shout out Honda City of Liverpool, because that's where I get my cars.
Okay.
And they have, one of them literally saved my life, the one that we got, and we didn't, my mom, she got it from there. She had bought it from somebody that had turned it in. And a woman had put many miles on it, needed a different vehicle or whatever, and I had it for 11 years. So, but these cars don't, too much, how everybody's sliding all over the place. It corrects itself. It makes you feel, put it this way, when there was a winter storm last Tuesday and I was driving, it made me feel safer, being a little bit faster in an area where normally I'd be like, oh my God. So, Honda is made for Central New York.
Yeah.
I think the people overseas were like, you know what? I think one of them went to school here, and they were like, you know what market we could really kill it in? Central New York. Because every other car is like a CRV or some type of SUV. So, but yeah, I mean, I love seeing the pureness of the snow. I said, you'll probably never see something more pure. Mm-hmm. Just like beautifully white, untouched when it falls. And there's nothing like, lights on the lake, and some hot chocolate and going around, being an October baby. I love the fall here.
Yeah.
I love and I love the fair growing up.
Yep.
And it's changed, but I'm going to give it a shot this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the fair a shot.
Okay.
Because, I like my fair food.
Yep.
I like experiencing, and I love, somebody said to me, they're like, do you get a chicken speedy sandwich, or do you get sausage? I was like, you get a Philly cheesesteak. What are you talking about? I was like, I go for the Philly cheese. So, and Heroes and Legends used to have the best one, and they're not in the Center of Progress building anymore. But when I used to work at the grandstand, they had the Heroes and Legends, and we'd go in there, and we were always supposed to get a discount.
Okay.
Crazy the things you don't forget. And they would know that we got a discount, and this one lady would have to, she's like, no. And I'm like, ma'am, we get a discount. I need to check with the man. And then you wait there for like 17 minutes. By the time you're done, you got to eat it and walk back to the grandstand. And they're like, what happened? I'm like, man, there's a lady that's there every Tuesday always telling us that we don't get, our discount. But they had the best Philly cheesesteak that you were willing to fight with the lady to get it.
That's awesome.
So, but I mean, there's so much to do. I never, but it's also when you're a go-getter.
Right.
Like you said, you have to leave and do something. I'm a business owner. Yep. Not just a broadcaster.
Right.
So I'm always challenging myself, looking for stuff to do, and I'm always looking for fun ways like this to like involve LeMoyne, involve Cafe Kubal, local.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm invigorated by when someone says there's nothing to do. I'm always like, get in the car.
Yeah.
Like I like the challenge.
Yep. I agree with that.
And I'm also like the son of a father who would say, get in the car, we're going for a ride. Mm-hmm. Where are we going, Dad? For a ride.
Yeah.
Where? We'll see where it brings us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and we didn't even hit on just the lakes either. You go down and walk around Skinny Atlas, and I'm fortunate that I have some family members that have camps on Skinny Atlas, and then Oneida. So summer, quick little day trip up to the lake for a visit. So that's just something else there as well. To just hit up a lake for the day.
And Skinny Atlas has some really good, the Blue Water Grill.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a couple really good ones.
They do. They got some nice spots out there. Victory Sports Medicine Orthopedics, I like them out there. But I love the water, except for not this winter, last winter. It was like the ice was thawing, and there were people out there with like their dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Just giving it a go.
Okay.
And I was like, if I'm the dog, I'm going like, I'm man's best friend, but what if my man is stupid? You know what I mean? Like, if the dog was like, mm-mm. But there's something about, like you said, everything is so, even on a dog lake, you just walk around on a dog lake, and, I haven't been to a concert out at the Lakeview, but Lakeview's there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What have you seen?
I've been to, saw the Joe Bros, had to go see them. They were like one of my first concerts, so went with some high school buddies.
The Jonas Brothers.
Joe Bros, back on tour.
Do you have a favorite Jonas?
It was Nick. It probably still is Nick. Not as much love as it used to be for the boy bands, but it was a great concert. I saw the Pentatonics, the a cappella group.
Yeah, I love the Pentatonics.
A few years ago. And then this summer, Santana is actually coming on my birthday in August, like a Wednesday. August 17th.
Okay.
Yep. Random Wednesday. So that's what we're going to go do. We're going to go see Santana at the amphitheater. So, yeah, been to a handful again, But that's a popular spot in the summer. I mean, you try to get on the highway to go somewhere, and if it's the night of a concert, you're not getting to where you need to go. So I think that's been a great addition the last few years.
And I work with the Wildcat out in the Camillus, and that's the one thing where I'm just like, because I have to take the highway. I have to take it to get there. And I was driving, and I'm like, there's a concert today.
Yeah.
So it's like not even a 15-minute drive for me. And I'm like, I'll be there hopefully in like a half an hour, 45 minutes, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so there's always that part of it. But I want to go. I used to go to the grandstand all the time. I used to work it. So I had Journey twice.
Okay.
I had Train.
Nice.
I think I had Maroon 5. Yeah, I had Maroon 5. B.B. King. Reba McEntire, Brooks and Dunn, Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Britney Spears.
Nice. She was my first concert, New York City. I was in 3rd grade.
My first concert was the Backstreet Boys Grandstand, 14 years old. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. Every boy liked the boy band at some point, and they all had the CD. Because I remember being at school, walking up and down the halls, and one of my close friends was just like making fun of me. He's like, "Oh, it's stupid." I was like, "Man, you got NSYNC in your car. Like, stop."
Yeah.
I was like, everybody knows. So people ask me now as a grown man, they're like, "Who do you like?" O-Town. I wanted to be the lead singer of O-Town. They lost Ashley Parker Angel. I've sang my whole life. Talked to my best friend Evan about it, and he was like, "I will never go see O-Town." And I said, "What if I'm the lead singer?" And he said, "Then I'll come see him." He said, "But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to come to opening night. I'm not coming all 3 days." He said, "If you're at Hard Rock Cafe, I'll come on Friday. I'm not coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will come out and see you." But I said, "Listen, the fact that you'll come see O-Town because of me, thank you."
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, listen, music is music, and I love it. And we have some of the best acts. I always wondered how we got so many good acts to come in here.
Well, we had Ludacris for free at the fair, I think, last year. So
they've had Boys to Men there.
They've had a couple really, really good free concerts. We've gotten some great
98
artists.
Degrees.
Yep.
Back in the day, they opened for John Cicada.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing too, is we've had so many good like free opportunities to just come hang out at the and it's crazy to and like what happened to Luda? He used to be really good.
I don't know.
Then he got in the Fast and the Furious.
I know. My assistant said it was the best concert she's been to because I think he's coming back, and she's like, "I'm going." She said it was the best time.
Who was it? Shout her out.
Jess Lavelle loved Lil Luda concert last year.
All right. She loved her Luda.
Yeah.
No, because I mean, Luda is, I don't know, like so My buddy Rudy down in Florida, he grew up in New York City, and I'm convinced that it's like so weird the albums he has, and I'm convinced he has these like nobody's ever heard of these. I'm like, were you with Luda?
Yeah.
I was like, you were probably in an alleyway you were probably at a club where you come in, you knock 3 times, you got to tell them a code, then you got to take the key off the door, then you go to the back, then you go down, then you go to a donut shop, you pull on the donut, the wall spins, and you're in there in this like rap battle because he's found these like records. He probably has Tupac records nobody's ever heard of. I don't know where he gets them, but he had a Luda song where Luda was rapping, and then he went in and he just kept going for like 14 minutes, and he hit about cereal, and he's rapping about Fruity Pebbles, and I'm going, what is this? But I've never, ever heard it. So I'm convinced that Rudy must have just hung out with Luda that day.
Sounds like it.
But I mean, I'm just happy to hear that he's still doing it because he hasn't put out like anything new, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm Fast and Furious, we're like, we get it. You're fast, you're angry, y'all spin your cars around.
Yeah.
Like, the movies are all the same.
Right.
I mean, no offense.
Yeah, no, everybody says that.
But
I still like them, but everybody does say that. I mean, the plot line's the same in every single one.
If I see number 6 and I didn't see number 1,
you're fine.
Yeah, you could probably tell me, like, this guy's dating this girl and this guy died.
Yeah.
And then nobody dies, though.
Right.
Like, they're thinking about bringing Paul Walker back, but he's dead in real life. So for the new one, they're thinking about bringing him back.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, well.
Bizarre concept.
Welcome to breaking news on Wake Up Call this morning. So to get back to the world of lacrosse, I was looking up women's pro leagues. And I was kind of proving my own point when I did it. So I Google searched to get some background information on the history of it. And what I found was that it's very hard to find information on women's pro lacrosse. And even when you do, it's not specifically clear. So what can you tell me about the opportunities? Because you have really good players come through here, and they might want to try to continue that on. And women's sports in general don't have pro opportunities that have really stuck outside of the WNBA and now the NWSL for women's soccer. So where is pro lacrosse in your opinion, and where does it need to go?
Yeah, so probably within, I'm going to maybe say within the last 5 to 6 years, there's been a couple different leagues. So there was the UWLX league, and then it turned into the WPLL, and then most recently Athletes Unlimited, who sponsors a couple different pro programs. They kind of took ownership, and now we have the Athletes Unlimited pro league. So I think, you know, when you talk about not knowing a lot about it, I totally get that. I think if you're in the lacrosse world, that's when you know about it.
Yeah.
The main reason for that being that there are a lot of current college coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches who are playing in that league. I think the other big thing is there is a lot going on with like Team USA lacrosse, and so with the World Games coming up this summer, I think that's a lot of where the shift in focus has been on. But the Pro Lacrosse League, basically how it works, it's a team, 5-week, 4 or 5 different teams, and then you earn individual points. So it's a pretty unique structure. And then every week, the 4 top individuals for points are the team captains, and then they draft a team. So it's a pretty unique experience. I think it's every Sunday night. Monday night there's a draft, and then the next weekend they're playing games. But you know, I'll definitely keep you posted because they're some of the most fun and entertaining games to watch. They play with the international rules, and it's fast, and it's high level lacrosse. And again, you have some of the best, you know, in the college who have played the college game and now are now coaching, you know, are playing in that league right now.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I wanted to see how easy it was to get the information, so I did it as a test to ultimately prove a point that the clarity, if you're not within the lacrosse world of coaching and playing, it's not clear.
Right.
And at the same time, 5 teams, you know what I mean? It's like, I want to see an evolution in the growth. How do we grow it? How do we give men and women opportunities?
We fund the women. That's what we do. You know, I think when you look at the men's league, Paul Rabel founded the PLL, Premier Lacrosse League, and there's just been a lot of, and that has grown even so much since its inception, but the funding is the biggest piece of it, right? Finding sponsorships and finding people who are going to consistently fund and provide TV time and uniforms and all of this stuff. It takes a lot to have a pro league, but you ultimately can't do these things without money. And these are pro athletes. You have to pay them, you know, and they can't do it for free. And again, we mentioned a lot of them are coaching. They have other obligations. You know, I just think of Kayla Trainer. She plays on the pro league. She's on the U.S. team. She's now the head coach at Syracuse. She's busy. She has a lot going on. You have to make sure we're paying these people, and they're not going to play for free. And so it's really the funding and the exposure. Funding and exposure, I think at the end of the day, or we talk about it even just for the college game. If we don't have those things, you know, the game, it can't grow. So we need people to invest in women's sports. We need people to give opportunities to put them on TV or to stream them and do those things. And that's going to help us grow the women's, any whether it's college athletics or pro athletics, that's what's going to help us grow.
Well, and that's the NWSL. It's got 12 teams now, and the MLS used to be at that point. And the NWSL for women's soccer, for pro, it was the same type of thing. These women are representing the United States of America. By the way, for those of you who don't know, because I feel like this is somehow not common knowledge, no country in the world has won more World Cups than the United States of America for women's soccer. And everybody's always like, are the men going to qualify? Are they going to make it? Are they going to make it? And no offense to the men, but it's like the women are not qualifying. They're playing in the championship. They're winning the championship. Nobody, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Brazil, nobody has been better than the United States of America. And those players play somewhere during the season in the NWSL. And it's like, what is it, $5 to get you a ticket? So, but all of a sudden you talk about funding. Why is the NWSL getting more promotion? Because they're getting them out there. They're getting them on TV. Their sponsors, Nike, Delta, MasterCard. They have a lot behind them now, and I don't know who started it, but whoever started the domino effect, now it can actually exist because of the funding.
Right.
So, you know, and I've never, and I know you talked about this too, it's with women's athletics in general, and I want to tell you this as a final point here before we have Bob come on. I would never do this because it's extremely unprofessional, but I am sorry that you or anybody has had to experience what you wrote, which was wildly responded to, which I'm so happy it was, that you go on the road as the head coach and somebody goes to whatever man they see and go, oh, you must be the head coach, because they automatically think it's a man coaching a team, even in women's sports.
Right.
Enlighten us on what you've experienced and how wrong that is. That, I mean, in today's world, it takes nothing to, and I understand that there's a bigger problem at hand, but simply going on to LeMoyneDolphins.com and just clicking on the coaching staff.
Agreed. So it's been pretty interesting. This is the first season I've had a male athletic trainer, and actually was my athletic trainer in high school, so kind of a cool connection. But we've had a couple instances where someone from another school will start asking him questions and just assuming that he's the head coach. And then also when we go to dinner, they go to hand him the check. And he's like, I'm not paying for this. And I'm like, I'll take it. And listen, I know I look young. I'm not that much older, honestly, than a lot of the girls on our team. But, that's a fortunate problem for me. But to your point, take 5 minutes, not even, to just Google search who's coming in. And I think that it was just very eye-opening to see all the responses from that tweet of people saying, yes, this happens to me all the time, or I've been in this profession for so many years and this still happens to me. So it's really eye-opening, and you kind of made that point, like we're assuming that males are coaching the females still. And I think because but if it were reversed, right, like if a woman was coaching a man and the woman was the odd person out, are we still going to go to the woman? Probably not. We're just still going to find the man. So, it's a challenge, and it's a battle that I think is going to continue for some time based off all the interaction. But I think if we can be a little bit more open-minded and again, do our homework. Google is the best thing and the worst thing at times, but just take 2 minutes to research who's coming in. And, you know, I think it's funny, the most recent one, my assistant, Brenna, had called to make the reservation. Like, they spoke to a woman. She had spoken to them on the phone numerous times. So a woman is making the reservation, but yet we still give the check to the man. So it's just been really interesting. And I guess, you know, the last point is how do we fix that? Because I can't wear a hat that says coach to every dinner, you know, or wear a name tag.
Shouldn't have to.
You know, I agree, we shouldn't have to. But I think just being a little bit more open-minded and saying, hey, you know, women can be coaches and women can be leaders and they can be empowering other young women, and it's not always the man at the table that's going to take care of this. So I think for me, that's part of why I do what I do, because I want to empower young women and influence them to be great leaders in the world, no matter if it's lacrosse, it's coaching, it's out in the career field. Like, let's get more women in leadership positions.
You know, and I think in my life personally, it's the fact that I was raised by two fantastic women, my G-mama, my mom's mom, and my mom. And so not everybody is spoiled like me to have that, but I know the value of a woman because I had always grown up around it, seen it, and supported it. And when I saw it wrong around me, I didn't copy the behavior. And I think it's important to understand that, and this is why I have this quote. One quote you will never, ever, ever see me use: it is what it is. Because it is what it is, women wouldn't be voting. It is what it is, women wouldn't have equal pay, wouldn't have jobs, still have to work at that. It is what it is, still be slavery. So I have a quote in my studio that says, it is what it is, but it will become what you make of it.
Yeah, I love that.
So it is what it is. You were discriminated against, but now we need to continue to have that voice out there. And in today's world, you can't look that uneducated and that stupid out there, folks. And at the same time, there's so much wrong with it. It's a women's sport. So if anybody was going to think maybe a woman's coaching this, because women can coach men and women, but it's like, why would you not think that? Why would you not do your research? And at the same time, it just comes down to respect. And respect, people say, is earned, and sometimes respect is given to places where it wasn't earned. So we have the need to make sure, and I've always taken this on me. When I started doing radio, they're like, oh, Dan, it's men 25 to 54. That's sports radio. That's all you get. And I said, I'm going to get women. And my bosses laughed. They said, how are you going to do that? I said, I'm going to cover women's sports. I'm going to interview women, and I'm going to not be a pig. And I've never had a problem. It's really a miracle that if you treat everybody the same, they all come to be there.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. If you treat everybody like they're welcome at the dinner table, everybody sits down to eat with you. So with that being said, I know you got to jump. I know we got Bob coming up, but Liz, as always, it has been my pleasure, and I'm so grateful that we got to do this. Hopefully we'll get to do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Dan. I appreciate it.
So women's lacrosse, LeMoyne College, go out and see them. A postseason berth is on its way. I believe winners of 6 of the last 7, 11-4 record, 2 games coming up on the road. Support this team and watch where you can. Go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. And of course, you can check out our specials with LeMoyne on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT and on the LeMoyne tab of WakeUpCallDT.com. We'll take a step aside from Cafe Kubal to Creekwalk Commons. We'll be back here with Bob Beretta. And as always, fins up.
Fins up. Let's go.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday
Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicoli's.com. That's myavicoli's.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Cafe Kubal, hanging out here where sports meets that thing called life, and always happy to be here inside of our Cafe Kubal studios. And today and all throughout each month we have the opportunity to go on site on location at Cafe Kubal, and it's always fun to do that. I love that Creek Walk just opened back up and they put this nice couch right here, so this is where I get to relax in the studio. They may catch me sleeping here a little bit after. I don't know, it's been very busy in a good way, but very happy to be here with you inside of Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street at the Creek Walk Commons in downtown Syracuse. Locations all throughout central and upstate New York, 3501 James Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and at the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners. So make sure you go out there as well to their drive-thru location in North Syracuse. We are here with our LeMoyne College takeover of Cafe Kubal, and Bob Beretta here with me, and we have the opportunity to do AD and DT every first and third Wednesday of each month during Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern time, as you've so well coined that a long time ago. And now we get to have a bonus opportunity. We just had Liz Beville here, and now we have AD of LeMoyne, Bob Beretta. Bob, how are you?
I'm excellent, Dan. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I knew I was trying to figure out what to wear, and I was like, I got to wear something LeMoyne related here going out to Cafe Kubal. And I found my polo because I had the t-shirt, and then I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I got to get some more stuff. I got to get the Big L. I got to get some other things. The bookstore is still open, correct? As they're doing all their renovation.
The bookstore is open.
Yes.
We'll get you some gear, though. We got to gear you up a little bit better for the summer months ahead.
But I gotta tell you, like, finding this polo and knowing that I can wear like the dress pants, but these are nice and thin. The polo's nice and airy, that I can enjoy another 70-degree day and still keep my Dolphin on. So
yeah, it's beautiful out today for sure. Yesterday was spectacular, and hopefully our teams get some good training in today. Big day on the Heights tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some key competition. So big training day today.
And you and I will be there at the men's lacrosse game tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Big time game between Dan Sheehan's Dolphins and Adelphi coming into town. So lots to look forward to, lots to be excited about. We just had Liz here, 11-4 record, 2 more games to go. Has won 6 over the last 7, dealt with injuries, and a lot of those injuries came to fifth-year seniors, I believe. So having to deal with your veterans going down, found a way to 11-4, looking to get a couple more. We'll have a postseason, and like I said, have won 6 out of the last 7. So positivity on men's and women's lacrosse.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dan. I think our women are really playing well right now. They had a tremendous outing on Saturday against Bentley. I thought it was maybe the most complete contest that I've seen them play all season long, and they've dealt with some adversity. You know, we have had 3 players suffer ACL injuries, and 2 of them fifth-year seniors for sure. And your heart goes out to those young ladies. They came back for an opportunity to chase the national championship. Last year, we all know that story, and they were not invited in to the championship competition. They wanted to come back this year, so you really feel so disappointed for them. But to see how they've reacted and taken on their new roles has been really inspiring. And that team right now, 11-4, 8-3 in the conference, 2 league games this week, Wednesday and Saturday, and then head into the NE10 tournament. And as you mentioned, the men on a roll, right now ranked 2nd in the country. Play Adelphi on Tuesday at 4 at Ted Grant Field. Adelphi is ranked 4th in the country, so that will be a tremendous matchup. It's turned into a great rivalry. Right now, it appears if LeMoyne we can finish strong, we'll have another chance to defend our national championship. But first things first, game against Adelphi tomorrow, and then the NE10 championships after that.
Two top 5 teams in the nation facing off against each other in your neighborhood in Central New York, right down the road from this Cafe Kubal on 324 West Water Street. You can head out to see LeMoyne College at Ted Grant Field and see the number 2 team in the nation, LeMoyne, take on the number 4 team, Adelphi, in the country at 4 p.m. Eastern Time this Tuesday, April 26th. And I am ecstatic about that. I'll be there. You'll be there. It's supposed to be in the 60s.
Right.
They changed our weather twice, but they keep changing it to be better.
You like that.
So whatever meteorologists are doing, it's one job where you can be wrong 100% of the time and never get fired. However, it is supposed to be 61 degrees outside tomorrow, and there's a 51% chance of rain, but we're hoping that that'll take care of itself before the game.
Yeah, and we have a key softball doubleheader. So folks have the day, come over to LeMoyne campus, spend the entire afternoon and watch some fantastic Division II athletics. LeMoyne will play Bentley in softball, a doubleheader beginning at noon, and then a 2 o'clock game. So you could ride right on through with us and enjoy some extra Dolphin time. 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock softball, 4 o'clock men's lacrosse. Great day to be a Dolphin, a great day to come out and support the Dolphins.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on the Heights with some nice weather and a great opportunity to go out and support softball as well as men's lacrosse, and so much success going on. After I saw you this past Friday, went out and hung out, and this guy gave me a great idea as well. I had parked my car and then I was figuring out a place to sit, and I saw that he had parked his SUV and put the trunk up and was sitting there. So I backed up my Honda CRV. Thank you, Honda City of Liverpool, for doing right by me. They got me a car in the middle of this pandemic. It's hard to get a car right now. So they got me a 2022. I backed it up, and I put one of my nice little blankets down in the back seat, leaned up some of my equipment, and I had the trunk open, and I sat there for a couple hours, watched some awesome men's lacrosse or men's tennis, and I had the opportunity at men's tennis to speak with Jeff, and it was so awesome to see him come off the court. And he walked over to me like a really excited kid, and he was happy that I was there. I was happy to talk to him, and we had a great time. And Jeff, continue, as always, praying for your mom, that she gets better, gets healthy. But it was so great to see Jeff, and once again, more success. When I was like, so how are we doing? How's it looking so far? And because I'm just watching the matches back and forth, and he's like, won that one, we won that one, we're fighting in that one, and just incredible what he's done with men's and women's tennis, as we've spoken about.
Yeah, no question. The number 1 seed in the NE10 championships will advance into the semifinals with a match on Thursday. We don't know the time or the opponent yet, but I think it'll be at Skytop Courts on Thursday. Time to be determined, and should LeMoyne win on Thursday, we would advance to the championship game and host the championship game on Saturday. Of course, they're on an unbelievable roll. It's a 16-match winning streak right now, and ranked in the top 40 in the country nationally, which is hard to do because almost all Division II schools have a men's tennis and a women's tennis program. So you talk about inventory. There's a lot of inventory there, so a top 40 ranking is significant. They've had a tremendous season, and also a shout out to our men's golf team and Joe Tesori. They earned the number 2 seed in the East Regional on Friday. We learned that. We'll host that regional up in Rochester. LeMoyne will serve as the host, but a number 2 seed and another NCAA championship appearance for Joe Tesori and the LeMoyne men's golf program.
Yeah, and so not only talking about advancement, but multiple teams advancing and putting themselves in good footing and good seeding. I mean, we've talked about it. LeMoyne, men's and women's lacrosse, men's and women's tennis, men's golf. Softball's pushing right now to do some good things as well. We've seen success on the baseball diamond for, everything that Scott Cassidy's doing. I am so excited for this postseason because as the weather gets warmer, just like with any dolphin, when the water heats up, you get to swim a little bit easier.
That's
and
right.
We're hoping that we'll be swimming pretty deep into these waters of the postseason.
No question. And as I say around campus, even if it rains, it's dolphin sunshine for a dolphin. Dolphins love water, so rain. Even if it rains tomorrow during the lacrosse game, I have no concerns whatsoever. Now, it can't rain during the softball game. We don't like that because it might postpone the game. Dolphins with softballs, they don't like wet softball, so we can't perform in the rain. But on the lacrosse front, absolutely, it's Dolphin sunshine.
Yeah, and I am so ecstatic to be on the Heights and see everything that's coming. By the way, of everything that I've seen, we were talking about apparel before. The apparel that the men's basketball team wore that said "On the Heights" in cursive, that by far is the coolest thing that I have seen because it's unique and it's just very, I don't know, I thought that was awesome. So I love what you're doing, and that's what I was saying to Liz. I was like, we haven't even been in this multimedia marketing partnership for a full calendar year, and everything that you're constantly pushing from the people that you're having to come in to speak to reclassification, realignment conversations, to the success of the programs, to suicide prevention and everything that happened over the weekend. There's so many things that LeMoyne is doing, and you're always challenging yourself, Bob. And I love that. There's never been a week where I could call you up and say, it seems like you guys have taken a step back. There's always a step forward to progress. And like I mentioned, mental health, suicide prevention, there's the bigger picture at LeMoyne that, yes, you're successful academically. Yes, you're successful athletically. Yes, you're a team in a school that, you're a place in an institution that has that Jesuit background that less than 30 schools can boast of, and you have all that, allure potentially of teams and conferences looking at you in different organizations. But at the same time, you're doing the things that are right for the people, and you're taking care of the health of the community, and that needs to be a spotlight, and it needs to be thanked because we need it. And the world we live in today, Bob, if I didn't have friends like you in the community, sometimes you just need to call and say, hey, how you doing? And there's a lot to be said about the hey, how you doing that LeMoyne has done, and like Liz said, what they do at their games and how they make sure that there's a message out there. The last couple of seasons, the men's lacrosse did it this season. I just would love to speak about mental health and what you're doing with that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Dan. And we try to have a growth mindset at LeMoyne, and we look at developing the whole person. That's a very Jesuit principle. As much as it was at West Point too. At Army, we were very concerned with developing the entire cadet, militarily, academically, physically, all those prongs of the stool. And it's similar here at LeMoyne, where we want to develop the entire person. And mental health is certainly one of the main topics of conversation and focus nationally. And we just saw over the weekend, unfortunately, a tragedy at University of Wisconsin. Another Power 5 athlete took her life, Shara Schultz, someone who achieved at a very high level, someone that just was pushing and pushing and pushing for greatness and success, and much like our student athletes at LeMoyne do every day. So we have to be very conscious of that, and we have to make sure that we're mindful of their needs. We're mindful of the fact that the pandemic has created so many issues for our young people, high school age students, but also college age students. And now we're just coming out of the pandemic, and you start to see the effects linger. So we have to be aware of that. Last night on campus, and I give tremendous credit to Ann Carney, our Dean of Student Wellbeing, put together a fantastic program. We had our our inaugural, hopefully it'll be our first of many, Out of the Darkness walks. And it was to bring awareness to suicide prevention. And I'd say we had over 200 students that gathered in the quad last night from 7:30 to 9:30, and had some speakers, tremendous program, and really to remember those that have been lost to this horrible illness, because I think almost everyone gathered there last night was touched in some way, shape, or form by someone who had taken their own life. And it has been an issue on the campus at LeMoyne. Past several years, we've suffered loss, and we're going to do everything in our power to ensure that our student athletes and our students at large know that there's resources in place, and we're there to help in any way that we can, any time of the day or night.
Yeah, and I applaud that. I appreciate that, and I know that it's important to you. I know it's important to Linda Lemira. I mean, the thing is, when you see your president, when you see your deans, when you have when you have someone that whose job is well-being, when you have your AD out there, when your leadership gets behind the bigger picture, it's a lot easier to sell the bigger picture. And and that's what it is about LeMoyne, is that you, as a member of that leadership team at LeMoyne, you care. And because you care, and because you put your money where your mouth is, that's why I think people come out. Because if they came out to a walk and said, well, our president's sleeping right now, and our AD's off doing something else, and our teachers could care less, and our head coaches she's out, at the movies, and she's out doing this, and he's out doing that. I mean, when they see that the leadership is there, that's what they need. That's what they want, right? Because a community, because you never forget the people you spend it with, right? And when something good happens in your life, you remember who was around you when it happened. And that's what I said to Liz, is that LeMoyne always has had that atmosphere with me where you don't go on campus without somebody, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's everything going? And when you do it, you don't have to sell it, because like I heard a long time ago, and like my mom would say to me, if you're a good person, you don't have to tell people. If you care about people, you don't have to say you care. You just show it. And what you did this weekend showed that.
Yeah, it's important. Participation is important, but it's also the investment, not just to show up, right?
Yeah.
It's to care and to try to get to know these young people. And last night it was important. I thought it was important to be there as the athletic director. We lost a young man right at the start of the pandemic to suicide. And I knew that we would have many of our student athletes there last night that were hurting, just based on the anniversary and the timing of it all. So I just wanted to be there. I wasn't on campus at that time yet. I was still at West Point, but to be able there and hug a couple of players and just check in on them and see how they're feeling, and let, as you mentioned, let them know that we're in this together and that we're here for them, and it's not just lip service. We talk about being a family, and being a family is showing up and being there for people when maybe it's not most convenient in your own personal life. You don't even feel that if you're there and you're passionate about the others. You just care about the others, and you don't think you care if it's a Sunday night or a Monday afternoon or whatever it is. You want to be there to help others in the time of need, and that's, I feel, as the athletic director, and I get to do this job, and a big part of it is I need to be there spiritually, to be there physically, and for more than any other reason, to just be there to let people know that we care.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. And being there, we are here at Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street, Creekwalk Commons in downtown Syracuse. And Liz got to get her drink before I did. I was setting up, and I told her I cannot wait to run and get mine, because it's literally right in front of me off the screen here. She said, that's okay, it'll be this much sweeter now. And she's a chai drinker as well, so she gets my need to have Cafe Kubal in my life. You got to do something, to talk about having speakers and different people on campus. So you got to do something recently here with John Beeline. And John, on Friday, came and spoke to LeMoyne and had an opportunity to speak to the student athletes and coaches and whatnot. And you got to be a part of that. John obviously has coached in many places, one of those places being LeMoyne. And I had the honor, thanks to you. And I know that you were running one way and I was running up the other way and going up to tennis. And you had to go and do some things with men's and women's basketball, and then you were going out on the road yourself. So I know that we had a very quick, hey, how you doing? But I want to thank you for the opportunity, because this Wednesday, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will be unveiling our one-on-one conversation with John Beeline, as we were the only media at the event. And so we have the exclusive opportunity to share with you the story of Coach Beeline and why LeMoyne continues to be so important to him on Dolphin Dive this Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, as we get to dive into John Beeline and everything he had to say about LeMoyne. So what did you take away from that?
Oh, took away so much, Dan, and thanks for the kind words. We brought Coach in, and thanks to Kim McAuliffe and our advancement team, was able to connect with Coach. Coach received an honor yesterday in the Albany area, and we were able to bring him back here, to bring him back home to LeMoyne as part of our LeMoyne Way speaker series. And we've had several. This year we had Kate Fagan talk about mental health earlier in the year. We had Tony Abatini, a former Team USA Vision coach, talk about competitive anxiety. Now we had Matt Davidson from the Excellence with Integrity Institute earlier in the semester, and now Coach Beeline, our final of 4 speakers on the year. And Coach came and talked about life lessons, and he talked about integrity, and he talked about values, all the things that are so part of our fabric at LeMoyne, and certainly our touchstones in our athletic department. So he outlined his top 4 things that he's kind of approached, how he has approached building a program, and basically his message was integrity never loses, and you do the right thing, and good things will happen. And he spoke to over 200 student athletes in the gym, and I feel like they left and they improved a little bit. And we're so thankful for Coach to come up and spend some time with us, and he offered his assistance in the future, and I'm sure we'll take him up on that. But he's a great friend to this community, a great friend to LeMoyne Athletics, and certainly someone we're so thrilled to have the association that we do.
Yeah, to know after everything he's done and everywhere he's been that he loves LeMoyne and proudly wore the polo shirt and had it, had that top of mind with him. And so it's like you look at him quick and it's like, are you still coaching here? You're still here. So, it was great. And it was also great to see the moment of like him standing with Nate Champion, and to know that Nate played at LeMoyne and now, Nate's been coaching, and it was good to see their interaction and whatnot, and to know that, Pat, John's son, had been here before that. I mean, there's so much there was so much in just a couple people standing next to each other at Ted Grant Court, that you could just see the story and like the weight of what LeMoyne has done.
Now, what's super cool, Dan, is when Coach talks about LeMoyne, he still talks about we. He still feels part of this community, this program, and to hear him talk, there's just a level of passion. And I'm sure his great memories from his other stops along the way at Canisius and West Virginia, certainly Michigan in the NBA with the Cavs and the Pistons. But to hear him talk about we need to do this and we can do that, and that's pretty special. I think he still feels that connection deeply to LeMoyne.
And so that coming here from Bob Beretta. Bob, final note, LeMoyne AD here with us inside of Cafe Kubal. Anything else you'd like to note? We talked about some other things. Maybe a note or two to Liz Beville and our guest that we had for the majority of the show here today, and what she's done with women's lacrosse. I figured out her record at the time of talking is 28-5.
Yeah, so impressive, and she's done a great job. She connects so well with the young ladies in her program. What I'm really proud of Liz is they've battled through some adversity. This is probably the first on-field adversity that they faced as a unit, as Liz in the head coaching position, because they've had so much success, and now they're playing their best lacrosse when it matters most, and that's a tribute to her leadership. That's a tribute to the young ladies in the program. That's a tribute to their growth mindset. They're not letting 1 injury, 2 injuries, 3 injuries set them back and deny them the opportunity to achieve their goals. They're still grinding away, and in some cases you'd say they're probably grinding away at a higher level than they have all season long. So proud of what Liz has accomplished and what the young ladies in that program. I am looking forward to watching them here down the stretch. Can't wait to see them have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. They deserve that.
Yeah.
And we'll be rooting them on. It's going to be an exciting several weeks here for all of our athletic teams as we head towards the finish line of the spring. And as we talked about last week, I think we'll have 5 to 6 teams in the NCAA championships, and that's a tribute to our leadership in that program, in those programs, our coaches, and certainly to the young people that are performing, because they have a growth mindset, and they won't be denied, and they want to achieve at the highest level. So it's going to be an awful lot of fun as the AD to sit back and watch them win a whole bunch of championships the next couple of weeks.
And I can say this to the NCAA, so I'll say it. 13-1 last year. You know what you're supposed to do. You didn't do it. This year, I look forward to you correcting your mistake. Bob, as always, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Extra Dolphin time as the Dolphins took over Cafe Kubal, 324 West Water Street here in downtown Syracuse, 3501 James Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse as well. And of course, you can find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse and 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is live for you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You are on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT worldwide, and on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, as well as WakeUpCallDT.com. Once we go live, we go to Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, and 2 more logos need to be added to that screen for you, as Amazon Music and Audible has also picked us up. So thank you so much to the incredible people that have allowed us to share our story and the stories of LeMoyne and countless wonderful, wonderful human beings around the world. We thank you for letting us share Wake Up Call's story and everybody connected to it. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Search us on any one of these avenues by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond, we want to thank you. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mom Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Honda City of Liverpool, the Millhouse Market, Pizza Man, Victory Sports Medicine, Orthopedics, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, and Mother's Cupboard. And of course, we are the proud multimedia marketing partner exclusively of Marywood University, Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, and of course, your LeMoyne College Dolphins. We'll take our final step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and wrap up today's show right after this fast break inside of Cafe Kubal on 324 West Water Street in Syracuse, where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of Cafe Kubal. I want to thank my fantastic guest today that we had, Liz Beville, of course, the LeMoyne College Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach. And I want to thank Bob Beretta, who just sat in with us for the last portion of today's broadcast, LeMoyne Athletics Director. Of course, you can see Bob Beretta every first and third Wednesday of each month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of Dolphin Time every first and third Wednesday, AD and DT, with a new topic every episode with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, aka DT. And every second and fourth Wednesday, you can see and hear the stories of Liz Beville and many that are connected to LeMoyne with coaches, student athletes, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni joining me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for Dolphin Dive every second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, because Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time are Dolphin Time exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We got to break the story on realignment and reclassification with Bob Beretta, and we're the only ones that had the update on realignment and reclassification, and you can go back and watch those on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So, with that being said, from inside of Cafe Kubal on 324 West Water Street, we want to welcome you to this location, as well as 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, as well as 3501 James Street in Syracuse, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location in North Syracuse. For Cafe Kubal, for the incredible staff at 324 West Water Street and Cafe Kubal in general, we thank you for being a part of the show. I want to thank my Dolphins. I want to thank you, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Find us on social media all throughout the week and all the time at WakeUpCallDT on Facebook, at CallDT on Twitter, at WakeUpCall_DT on Instagram, and of course, you can always find us on WakeUpCallDT.com. In the meantime, for Liz Beville as well as Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, we wish you a fantastic day, fantastic week. Enjoy the weather and support your Dolphins as well as supporting the community in general. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, proud to be your exclusive multimedia marketing partner for your LeMoyne College Dolphins, your Marywood University Pacers,